What's going on, guys? My name is Justin, and this is going to be a poker challenge where I'm going to try to take $100, try to transform it into $1,000, usually by playing six-handed no limit hold'em. And this is going to be session one. Enjoy. Okay, so I have 9 deuce offsuit facing a raise, and I'm out of position, so this is a pretty easy fold. Well, yeah. Thing is, a lot of people would defend if it's only a 3x raise, but with 9 deuce offsuit, wasn't really comfortable doing that out of position. So I'm first to act. I didn't hit anything. I'm just going to check. There's really no point betting. If anyone has an ace or a queen, they're not folding, so it doesn't really make sense to bet. Especially in these lower stakes, like people generally don't fold if they hit top pair or second pair, so if you are going to bluff, you generally want to do it against only one person instead of three. Alright, ace 5 on the button. I'm just going to call his raise. I don't want to bloat the pot with a re-raise. We hit top pair. That's pretty good. This guy's only betting $10. It's kind of or 10 cents. It's only a defensive bet. I'm going to raise. He probably had maybe a small pocket pair. Wanted to see a cheap turn. I'm going to raise here to see if I can get the button to fold, and looks like it didn't work. I was a pre-flop aggressor, so I'm going to go ahead and fire a continuation bet. And we got 3 callers. So on a board like that, where it was pretty dry, it's kind of hard to have a draw, except if you have like a diamond draw. No one's folding. So surely one of these guys has a king, so I'm just going to get out of the way. Like I re-raise, which kind of shows that he has a 5. So maybe I had like ace 5 or queen 5 or something like that. Maybe I had king 5, but I kind of doubt it. So I'm going to go ahead and raise it to 40 because these people are trying to get in cheap, and I don't like that. And honestly, since it's just me and him, I'm just going to put them all in. Now I assume that it was only 67 cents. He could be a bad player and fold in that spot. So I figured that was still worth it. These guys have already shown that they don't really fold to a 4x raise, so I'm going to do it again with kings. That's a great flop. I'm going to bet 40 again. All right, I'll take it. Okay, I've been raising quite a bit lately. I don't want to build a habit of raising all the time, so I'm just going to call this time. And I'm just going to check. I think it's important to kind of mix up your play. You don't always want to be checking, and you don't always want to be betting and raising. You kind of want to be doing a mix of both. I don't really see any point betting here with an ace or a king. If anyone here has an ace or a king, they're just going to call. If they have a spade draw, they're going to call. So there's really no point betting. Okay, well, I beat that. Really, I won? Huh, okay. Nine three offsuit. I'm going to fold this one. Generally, six-handed, you want to play, I would say, easily over 50% of your hands. But even though I'm in late position, I would have flopped top pair. That's funny. In late position, especially because I've been being super aggressive, I didn't feel like playing that hand. I'm going to go ahead and fold again. You kind of want to get like a sense of the players that you're playing with. I know number 5 just doesn't like to fold pre-flop. Kind of the same thing with number 1. So I can extract a lot of value from them pre-flop when I have a great hand. And as long as the hand holds up, then I can win some good value from them. So I'm going to try to exploit that on number 1 and number 5. I would have made 2-par. That's too bad. 9 deuce again. Yeah, I don't think bluffs would be overly effective against this table, because it seems like there's at least 2 or 3 people here that are pretty much calling stations that just don't want to fold. So the only way I could really pull off a big bluff, I feel, is if I triple barrel. If I bet on the flop, bet on the turn, bet on the river. And, you have to ask yourself, is that really worth it? Against these types of opponents, I just don't think it is. Generally, like lower skilled players playing at these stakes, they just don't want to fold in the first place. So you don't want to make a habit of trying to bluff them all the time. You generally make most of your money at these low stakes by just kind of waiting for a decent hand and just kind of value betting them. Yeah, that guy doesn't raise very often, so. But I have a playable hand, so I'm just going to defend. That's a pretty decent flop. I mean, I have a flush draw. I expect him to bet, probably like around 30 again. He bet the pot. Wow. I'm going to peel one off to see if I can hit that spade. All right. I'm going to check again. There's no chance I'm folding here with a flush. It's pretty hard for me to be beat, especially on this board. He would have to have a higher flush, essentially, because it's a non-paired board. I think I'm going to lead into him. Bet $2. Okay. He was probably just gonna check behind on the turn, I think, or on the river. I was hoping he had like an ace. Jack nine's a pretty easy defend for only half the big blind. Yeah, number 5 just doesn't fold. So that's a pretty easy fold there. Ace 7 on the button, that's not bad. Against these types of players, because they're mostly calling stations, I feel more advantageous to just kind of get in a little bit cheap with a weaker hand and then bet heavy with a big hand. And I know that that's kind of easy to read, but these players aren't thinking about that because they're pretty low level. So I feel an exploitive strategy is best to beat these guys. What, queen high? Wow, I won. All right. So I've won 2 hands in a row. I'm going to fold this one. I don't want to give the impression that I'm trying to like win every pot. And generally I'm kind of skeptic on playing weak aces, especially aces that are like ace 5 and lower, because they're pretty dangerous. You flop top pair with an ace, someone else flops top pair with an ace. You may not be going broke, but you're going to be losing a decent amount of chips. I re-raised. I guess he's trying to tell me he has a flush. Yep, and he did. Okay. So that guy plays pretty well, since there's only 3 people here and I have king jack suited, I am going to raise this time. You got 2 overcards. It's a fairly connected board though. I'm just going to check, but I will call a bet. All right, now I got top pair. Let's bet 30. That's pretty safe, honestly. Let's bet 50. I should have this one. Okay, cool. It's always the hands I fold where I flop a pair. It's crazy. How does that always happen? That guy loves to bet 67, I've noticed. Just bets the pot on the flop. It's like the 3rd time I've seen him do that. It's interesting. He seems to like bet the pot on the flop and then he bets like half the pot or 3/4 the pot on the turn, and then he just folds the river. That's a pretty easy call. Even though I have 3 undercards here, I am going to call his continuation bet. This guy has shown that he could have anything here. He's been pretty willing to gamble. I'm not sure if I really want to sacrifice. Like, you got to come to a point where do you want to call someone down on a suspicion because I'm up almost $2? I'll let him have it this time. He could have had me beat there. I feel like it was sort of 50-50. And it's not worth losing your profit and going under if it's 50-50. I'm going to fold this one. Flop top pair again. I just generally don't like to complete the big blind when I'm the small blind with a relatively weak hand. It shows a lot of weakness. And then someone could, oh, god dang it. Someone could easily just raise you. I wish number 5 would play this hand. Come on. Of course, when I have a decent hand, everyone just folds. That's a fantastic flop. I'm going to kind of do what he does. And you know what? I'm going to check to him because this guy likes to... Oh. Okay, he's just trying to get free cards now. It's a great value bet. He could have had a queen there, but I figured I'd try to extract some thin value from him. It worked out. He sure as hell didn't have top pair or second pair because that would be trips. So what did he have? Like pair of 8s or pocket 8s or something? It's kind of weird. Or maybe he just wanted to look me up. Queen 5 in early position. I'm going to fold this one. I think if I get up to $15 or $14, I think I'll probably leave because that would be a nice little profit and get out. You don't want to be too greedy. it's so easy to convince yourself to just keep playing, and then almost every time. Well, the thing is, if you keep playing, like if you don't stop playing, you will eventually go broke. That's the thing you have to remember. Like, you may feel like you're just running super hot, but all it takes is one giant suck out to just completely shatter your mental resolve, and now suddenly you're playing hyper aggressive to try to get those chips back that you lost, and then you end up losing even more money. So generally you kind of want to go in like with a calm demeanor, and once you know, I like to get about half my buy-in and profit before I head out. Some people like to try to double their buy-in. If you can do that, go for it. But after that, like say you do double your buy-in, it's pretty smart to just leave. Because if you keep playing, you will eventually get sucked out on. You will hit cold decks. And that's not good. And I am really hitting a lot of flops. I'm just not playing my hands. But that's not going to convince me to play bad hands. I mean, honestly, these guys have all kind of just limped in for the regular blind, so I don't expect any of them to like re-raise past 20 unless they had like a monster and they were waiting for this specific situation. This is a fairly dry board. It's kind of hard to have like a good draw here unless you have 5-6. There's no flush draw. 5-6 is the only straight draw. I don't think anybody has anything. I was hoping someone would bet so that I could raise. Perfect. That should get rid of these three guys. The only thing I could see that's really beating me here is like ace queen. I'm gonna bet $1. It's kind of like a defensive bet. I don't really want to get it put in more money than that. I hope he doesn't shove. If he shoves, I'm gonna be in a really tough spot. Because if he has ace queen, oh thank God. If he had ace queen there, he could have shoved, and I would have probably called him after thinking about it for a while. I mean, you know, 8-5 suited looks like a pretty hand, but then you take into account it's 6x more than what I've put in, and I'm in the first position, so I'm going to fold this one. Yeah, that's a pretty bad flop for my hand. I would need, like, running straight cards that aren't a club for me to even, but even then, yeah, I probably wouldn't be too happy. Yeah. ace 10 on the button. That's definitely decently strong hand, six-handed. You don't want to go with the mentality of thinking, oh, because I have ace 10, I deserve to win this hand. That's a really bad mindset to have. Because honestly, ace 10, four ways, I mean, I maybe have like a slight advantage. Now I'm a lot more likely to win, because I flop top pair with top kicker. But, someone could have two pair here. I know that guy bets a lot of flops, so that's a pretty easy call. There's no way I'm folding top pair, top kicker to this guy yet. That's a pretty easy call again. And that's a pretty easy check behind. Yep, there you go. I was a little bit afraid he rivered that queen, but, I suppose if he actually rivered the queen, he probably would have bet on the river. But I'm not too comfortable with top pair, top kicker out at the river. Like on the flop, it's very strong. By the river, it's still decently strong, but by then, with those two extra cards, there's a lot of hands that can catch up and beat you if you only have top pair, top kicker. So I'm kind of hesitant to value bet with only top pair, top kicker. But it depends on what the board looks like. Like that board was kind of threatening with that queen, so I didn't really feel comfortable value betting that. Because you got to think, what hand would he call me with a queen on there? Like, would he call me with the hand he had, king 10? I think that's probably one of the only hands he would have. But if he had like any other weaker hand, he probably would have folded. And then if he had any sort of queen, he's calling. If he had any, like pocket aces, pocket kings, he's calling. So pretty much there's only like one or two hands he would call with weaker, and all the rest he would call with stronger. So it doesn't really make sense to bet there, in my opinion. But yeah, I've went up almost $6, so I think that's gonna do it for this session. Generally, I like to keep them kind of short. So yeah, I'll make another one soon, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.